Bad Boy Records was one of the leading music and hip-hop labels. However, Biggie's father's influence and constant conflicts with its artists led to its decline, leaving only a handful of artists on the label. Many artists left the label in the early 2000s. For example, Shyne was in prison for the incident with Puff Daddy at the club, and he said he didn't want anything to do with Puffy. Artists like Mace, Young Jock, and MGK complained in a 2012 interview that they weren't being paid. MGK admitted that the most expensive items he bought were a magnet and a laptop. Everyone who was on the label wanted to leave it. As Biggie's former bodyguard said, even Biggie wanted to leave Bad Boy Records, especially since another label offered him $62 million. He said, "You know, Gene, I liked you. I'd take you with me, man, but you love that guy too much." However, as we recall, Biggie was killed on March 9, 1997, and Puffy still feels responsible for his friend's death to this day. Ironically, Tupac's death destroyed the Death Row Records empire, while Bad Boy Records became even more popular after Biggie's death. After Biggie's death, his posthumous album Life After Death was released along with the tribute song I'll Be Missing You, dedicated to the great rapper. Even before Biggie's death, another star left the label, named Craig Mack. For those who don't know, he was the first rapper to bring fame to the label with his song Flavor in Your Ear. Here's one of the moments that made it clear there were many disagreements between Puffy and Mack. They were working on a new album to be released in January, and they were about to launch their material. For some reason, Puffy mentioned that they were planning to release a second Craig Mack album, but from the rapper's demeanor, it was clear that this wasn't true. In the end, Craig left the label, and here's why. Craig changed managers, and Puffy didn't like it for some reason. He told Craig that if he didn't fire his manager, he couldn't work for Bad Boy anymore. The next main artist on Bad Boy was Mace. He was topping the charts from 1996 to 1999. However, in 1999, he declared that he was leaving Bad Boy Entertainment and announced the formation of SANE Ministries. He called himself Minister Mace after an emotional vision from God. In fact, at the height of his popularity due to the success of his album Harlem World, Mace reportedly told a radio interviewer that Tupac, who was killed in Las Vegas in 1996, heard the call and didn't need the warning. A glow arguably went through the toughest moments in the entire history of Bad Boy Records. In late December 1999, Jennifer Lopez, Sean Combs, and Shyne found themselves in a complicated situation after a party in New York turned into a shootout at a nightclub. In the end, 3 people were injured. There are 2 versions of what happened. The first is about what happened in the VIP section of the club, where a group of men approached Diddy and taunted the Bad Boy CEO by throwing a stack of money at him. The second is that, as they were leaving, he accidentally pushed someone in the club, knocking the drink from their hands. A fight ensued, and Shyne pulled out his gun, firing it into the air, causing everyone to leave the club. Supposedly, 3 people were injured. Shyne was acquitted of attempted murder charges but was charged with assault and weapons possession and sentenced to 10 years in prison. He was acquitted of all charges, including his attempt to have his driver take full responsibility for the illegal use of a firearm during his radio interview. Shyne said he carries a gun because he was shot just 1 month before the club incident. The rapper said carrying the gun in the club saved his life and Jennifer Lopez's life, and therefore, he believes he acted correctly, and if he hadn't pulled out his gun, everything could have ended in tears. However, his relationship with his producer was deteriorating, and he got the impression that Combs had abandoned him to save his own skin. He says that from day one, he offered his legal team and offered to pay for his appeal. Diddy finally allowed the rappers to continue their careers without Bad Boy when this happened. But that was probably the last straw for them. After such a tough year for Puff Daddy, he reinvented himself as P. Diddy to start his life from scratch. He didn't even want to sign DMX and 50 Cent because of their gangster lifestyle or reference. Everything was great at Bad Boy Records. The artists were releasing albums that were quite highly rated. However, at some point in 2005, everything started to crumble before our eyes. It is worth noting that even before 2005, Faith Evans and others left, and everything happened without notable incidents. So, let's skip to GDEP, who couldn't handle the popularity and started abusing drugs between 2003 and 2007. He was arrested 17 times, mainly for drug possession. Then he fully confessed to a murder he had committed in 1993 at the age of 18. After that, his life changed, and the rapper's mother said he became completely quiet and so on. In 2010, he went to the police and confessed what he had done because his conscience bothered him. Mace returned to music with an album called Welcome Back, which was a disappointment compared to his fans' favorite album, Harlem World. So, he returned again in 2009. He wanted to break the contract with Puffy and even barged into an interview of his boss, where he asked to be released from the contract. "You have to sign this officially. Your boy is a free bird." Additionally, there was another rapper from Bad Boy Records who served time in prison, Lone, a member of Mace's group, Harlem World. Their styles were often compared. Lone left Bad Boy a year after signing with the label, due to Diddy's blurred lines as the label's CEO and an artist. "I was happy for all the success," Lone said in a 2004 interview with MTV News. "But I was at a crossroads as an artist. I wanted to dedicate myself as much to myself as I did to the label." He founded his own label called Boss Up Entertainment in 2008 after a trip to Abu Dhabi. Lone converted to Islam and, despite his attempts to turn his life around, ended up in prison. Some argue he was innocent. On November 22, 2011, he was arrested during a trip to Brussels and in May 2012 was extradited to the U.S. In July 2013, he was sentenced to 14 years in prison for conspiracy to sell 1 or more kilograms of heroin. On the other hand, Diddy had legal troubles with the former label president, Kirk Burroughs, who claims Diddy threatened and extorted him for millions. Burroughs claimed Combs attacked him in an attempt to make him relinquish his stake in Bad Boy Entertainment. Appellate judges concluded that the allegations, dating back to 1996, were too old for the case to proceed. Overall, things didn't work out well. Bad Boy was also sued by Young Jock. I think you remember him from the song It's Going Down. Young took Bad Boy and Block Entertainment to court alleging unpaid royalties and advances, as well as excessive charges for sample clearances. Puff and Jock would eventually reach a settlement, but the disagreement led Jock to get released from the label in 2010. Diddy started scouting talents on his own show called Making the Band. Some clips from the show started going viral because of the crazy moments, especially when Diddy was in charge of his participants. The first clip came from MTV, where JD had everyone line up on opposite sides and compete in a singing battle to see who wanted the opportunity more. The second clip was from MTV2, where Diddy asked members of his hip-hop group, The Band, to walk from the center of Manhattan to Brooklyn to bring him cheesecakes from the famous Junior's restaurant. If he were here, he definitely wouldn't like the show. The moment became TV history as the group actually fulfilled the task. While Willie Taylor said the band's creation was set up for the artists to fail, on the other hand, Bad Boy released some hits. For instance, in 2006, they signed a performer who became popular. Thanks to the track Me and You, the song hit the top of the Billboard charts for a few weeks. Cassie's career didn't go as planned. Although she had some successful songs, she was quickly forgotten. Oh, and it's also worth mentioning the song Coming Home with Dirty Money. Eventually, the Dirty Money group didn't last long, and in 2012, the project was terminated. The label existed with few artists, and in 2016, Diddy organized a Bad Boy reunion tour, where hip-hop bands could relive the past. Diddy made around $17.5 million on that tour. He brought everyone back into the scene, except Shine, who did his own show. But anyway, Diddy helped Shine return to the US. He was excited, saying, "I'm in my best phase now, with my brother here." Of all those present, one couldn't attend, Craig Mack, due to health issues. And on March 12, 2018, Craig Mack passed away due to heart failure. Diddy even wanted to pay for the funeral, but wasn't allowed. He also didn't get the chance to say goodbye. This could have happened in 2011 because Mack didn't finish his albums, and the label boss started threatening him. Mack didn't want to continue working because initially, they had agreed that during the album's production, he would receive a fixed amount of money, but he never saw that money, leading to fights and work stoppage. When they scheduled a meeting at one of the studios in New York, Mack brought a gun but decided not to use it. In the end, he listened to gospel music and became a believer after that. Another interesting thing that happened with the label was when Mace started criticizing his former boss. And I never got the payment I deserved and never got the respect I deserved. So, this thing I have for Puff is more like an attempt to keep me here. Many Bad Boy Records artists complain that they don't have rights to their music. Bring your evidence, but I won't get into it because anyone who owes me $3 million, I have the evidence. In 2023, Diddy finally agreed to return the label's publishing rights to all the artists and writers who worked with it. However, some were not satisfied, like former Bad Boy artist Mark Curry. For example, he said he doesn't want the publishing rights, but rather the money. Still, some former artists continue to give interviews where they speak negatively about Diddy. For example, an ex-girlfriend accused him of several crimes, but the conflict was quickly resolved. However, Diddy received a few more lawsuits, especially from Kirk Burroughs, who claims that Combs physically assaulted a woman in 1994 at the Bad Boy offices. Overall, Bad Boy Records will always be a legendary label with dark stories, which partly contribute to its fame. We've reached the end of the video. Leave your comment about this Bad Boy story. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any content. See you soon.